Harper Audio presents Member of the Family, my story of Charles Manson, life inside his cult, and the darkness that ended the 60s, by Dianne Lake and Deborah Herman. This is Dianne Lake. To the victims and their families, those who needlessly lost their lives and those who continue to suffer because of the madness of this dark time in our shared history, may God's grace prevail and heal the pain that remains. Author's note: It's time for me to exorcise my own demons and to face the truth as much as I can remember it. In this audiobook, I have shared what I can recreate through straining my memory muscle, research, corroboration from people who knew me, and my own words from trial and interrogation transcripts. They tell only my piece of the story from personal experience and perception. I was with the Manson family from the age of 14 until my arrest at Barker Ranch at the age of 16. My memories, by necessity, reflect the mind of a teenager. Everything in this audiobook is true. Some of the names and identifying details have been changed to protect people's privacy. Some conversations are recreated to the best of my ability, as no memory is perfect. This is my perspective. This is my story, and this is my confessional. Prologue. 2008. It began, as these stories often do, with a phone call, one that I had been dreading for decades. "Are you Dianne Lake?" the voice asked. The question stopped me in my tracks. I hadn't heard that name for years. This could be about only one thing. I said hesitantly. "What do you want?" Immediately after the words left my mouth, I regretted saying them. I'd done nothing wrong, committed no crimes, but I had a reason to hide. So many people out there had looked for me over the years, reporters writing about the crimes, journalists seeking sources for books about the family, and of course the worst were the crazies obsessed with Charles Manson. For the most part, I'd been able to evade them all, flying under the radar all these years, hiding in plain sight with my husband's last name. I immediately wished I had hung up the phone right at that moment, but it happened too fast. My answer, a reflex. Even after all these years, I still wasn't prepared. I had buried my history so well I'd almost forgotten that once I was someone else, a young girl named Dianne Lake, who was only 14 when Charles Manson had inducted her into his family of followers. A girl who had spent almost 2 years being manipulated by him before a moment of clarity broke the spell, and who then went on to testify against him on November 3, 1970, helping to put him in prison forever. Over the course of the 8 years that followed, I'd been in and out of the courtroom through the Manson trial and 2 retrials of fellow family member Leslie Van Houten, coming of age on the witness stand and telling my story to the juries and the judges, as well as to the gawkers who obsessed over the gruesome acts that were committed by Charles Manson and the members of his family on 2 nights in August 1969. I'd told stories of life with the family, of the things we'd done and the drugs we'd taken, of how I joined with the blessing of my parents, hippies themselves, thinking that I was in control of my life, only to discover a reality darker than I ever could have imagined. And in 1978, after my final appearance on the witness stand for Leslie Van Houten's retrial, I put away these stories of Charles Manson and the family and left them behind for good. In a case that had captured the attention of people around the world, where spectators waited all night for one of the 15 seats in the courtroom, I was the last witness. From then on, Charles Manson and his family were a part of my past. They had nothing to do with my present or my future. By that point, I was already being courted by my husband, with whom I spent the next 35 years. He knew about my past, but we decided to create a life without ties to that former identity. We never told his family or the 3 children we went on to have together about what I'd been through. Even when my daughter brought in a stray cat and named it Charlie, I never acknowledged why I suggested she call him something else. Over time, my memories of the Manson...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?